Welcome along to Aston Villa from the stands. Tonight we are bringing you the match preview of Aston Villa versus Bayern Munich. The final wait is over. The UCL showdown. Villa are back in the Champions League, and what a great first home time we have them playing the German giants that are Bayern Munich. And I can't even say German champions because, of course, Bayer Leverkusen beat them to the post last season, and that is something that we have to remember. Bayern Munich were trophyless last year, but here they are coming to Villa Park, ready to take us on, and let's see what happens. So hope you're all well, hope you're all good, and hopefully this stream is all working fine. So big up to everyone. We're going to go through everything that's happening today, and we first of all are starting with the key points today. The main points we're looking at are the fact that it is the 1982, why Villa fans wanted this game, the lowdown on Bayern Munich this season, Unai and Ole's press reaction, and of course, my predicted lineup for today. So big up to everyone who's tuning in. Make sure you smash the like button, and of course, let me know how you're all doing. I don't know if this stream had a little laggy delay or not. It's just, we've been live now for about a minute and 10. So it'd be interesting to know if it's come through with you guys as well. But we're going to get into this main point. Big up to Les and Jamie. Big up to Chris and June, Mum, Dad. And you got the YouTube notification, which is great to hear. So let's go through it then. The Champions of Europe. Why were we excited for this tie? Well, it's quite simple, isn't it? 1982. It is a year to remember because it is the only time that Aston Villa have won the Champions League. But it's also the only time, or as I would say, known as the European Cup, but it's also the only time and the last time since Villa competed on the biggest European competition. Now, you could say last year, Josh, last year, we were in Europe. We played in Europe in the Conference League. Don't get me wrong. Thoroughly enjoyed that competition, although I am quite annoyed that we didn't win it. But we're in the big boy competition now. We're in the big ears. We're in the big trophy. And so we should be happy to be at this level. And I think there's some comments, actually, what I'm going to touch on later, which Don Unai Emery has already spoken about and already mentioned, that it's about time a club like Aston Villa should be competing at the top question. So, yeah, that is brilliant. Big up to Super Matty's in the chat. Big up to Les and Jamie as well. And Carlos T, thank you for tuning in, and Aviation. Hope you're well. And make sure you're smashing the like button for me, people, in this one. So, a little trip down memory lane. As I said, we cannot do a Bayern Munich preview without going down memory lane. This was the side which beat Bayern Munich 1-0 in Rotterdam. And, of course, the late Gary Shaw there leading the line, and rest in peace to him. But there's some fantastic players, and we cannot forget what a side that was. And I think that, you know, part of me is excited that this game is played at Villa Park and that we will be wearing the claret and blue, of course, tomorrow at Villa Park. But just that white European shirt is always something that I look back, I remember, and will always have fond memories of something of that. 1982, if you were alive back then big up. I'm sure that was a great memory for you. If you're like me and, you know, never seen Villa lift the European Cup, well, maybe we're on the journey to do that. So there we go. And I'm excited for that. So that's sort of setting the tone. That's sort of setting the team. And I think a lot of Villa fans actually said this, didn't they? That when this Champions League draw was done, that we knew we were going to get a couple of teams from pot one. Quite a few people were like, do you know what? I fancy a bit of Bayern Munich. I fancy playing them. And I think playing them at this early stage and our first game at Villa Park couldn't be more fitting. It's like the fixture, Champions League fixture gurus made it happen, made it work, and forever grateful for that they've launched that one onto us, that we have Bayern as our first game. So yeah, hope you're excited for that one. Was Bayern Munich a team that you wanted to face and play? Then do let me know, because that is of course a stellar tie, and who knows, we may even see them later on in the competition. Wouldn't that be great? And we're going to come on to the main question, of course, which is in the title of Would We Drop Diego Carlos? And we're going to go through all those bits and bobs for you guys now. So, a few facts about Bayern Munich that I want to get into. These are like random facts, but also about their form. This is their first ever away game versus Aston Villa. They've never played at Villa Park, so this is their first trip there. And this is their second ever fixture. The last time we played them was, of course, in Rotterdam, 1982. This is an interesting stat, though, the second point. Bayern Munich have only lost one of their last 10 games versus English opposition. Quarterfinals in the 22-23 season, they lost to Manchester City at the Etihad 3-0. So when I go back to that statistic of Bayern Munich against English sides, you can quite clearly see that they quite like playing English sides. One loss out of their last 10 against English sides. I think that is quite a damning stat. I think it's a stat that suits the likes of Bayern in that sense, the psychology behind it, that they don't fear coming to it. But have they ever been to Aston? That is the big question. The answer to that is no. No, they haven't been to Aston. And they haven't come to Birmingham. And that's going to be a completely different occasion for them. Big up to people who are joining in now. Big up to Logan Bear. Big up to Michael Huggins, Gary Howlett. Big up to Vamos VJ as well. And big up to Krim. He said, I would give Jon Conster a start at right back. He started Champions League games. I was pressed on him pre-season. Absolutely. We are going to be definitely talking about the lineups later on in this preview of what I feel like should be the starting lineup. I want to hear your one as well. But yeah, let's just put that fact up against Bayern Munich again, just so you're aware, which is that they've only lost one of their last 10 games versus English opposition. Well, look, Man City at the Etihad, you would expect them to drop points there, wouldn't you, or lose a game. So we've got to change that narrative, and we've got to be another damning statistic for them. Big up to Ty Doyle as well. I was 13 and lucky enough to witness Villa win the title then, the European Cup. Massive bragging rights at school. Ty, you're lucky man. My only bragging rights is us getting promoted in the Championship playoffs. Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing that I can hold on to as an Aston Villa fan and talk about silverware, and you get laughed off the park with that, don't you? So yeah, that's interesting to say the least, that you get to experience that. And let me know if you are someone else who's seen Villa lift the European Cup or any other trophy as well. Because if you're starved like me, then it sucks. But yeah, keep smashing the like button if you are watching. Do appreciate it. The next one then is, of course, where have Bayern travelled in their first game? Well, I'm sure no one missed this result, but Bayern Munich beat Dynamo Zagreb 9-2. 9-2. To score 9 goals in a Champions League fixture is pretty crazy. But the next statistic that sort of absolutely blew me away, they had 19 shots. Now, we know that Aston Villa's ropey defence at the moment is something to be questioned about, but to face 19 shots, wow. That's something that we're going to have to be aware of, chat. And that is something that we definitely need to be more astute to. We cannot allow that. And Jamal Musiala, by the way, within that game, broke an incredible record. I believe he created 7 chances, 7 contributions himself in that game. So that's pretty nuts. Bayern Munich, they won 9-2 against Zagreb, 19 shots, massive. And the last statistic, as you can see, is Kane loves playing Villa. Harry Kane loves playing against the Villa. In his last 6 outings against Villa, he's had 7 goal contributions, 5 goals and 2 assists. Wow. Yeah, Harry Kane, and we're going to talk more about him in a minute. But Gary said just don't lose 9-2, I agree. Michael Huggins, very privileged to see in the great days too. Love that. And Super Matty's paid an absolute fortune, but he cannot wait. And of course, I think that's the big thing about tomorrow. And I want to quickly come to that comment. To anyone who's going to the game tomorrow, fair play to you. But it is that big thing, isn't it? Is that try not to let the memory of tomorrow be marred by the ticket prices. Let it be celebrated for the occasion that it is, which is, of course, playing Champions League football at home at Villa Park. So unbelievable night ahead there. But yeah, do let me know if you like the new style as well of how we're doing these sort of streams. As I said, we're looking for consistency now. I quite like the idea of these little PowerPoints and racking out a little PowerPoint presentation for you all. Let me know if it's a big thing, if you like it visually. But yeah, so the injury update on my mate Barry Kane, and big up Goals Laguna in the house as well. James Meekins joined us as well, who Kane got crunched against Bayer Leverkusen, and he actually had to go off injured. Harry Kane had to go off injured. Took one on the ankle. It probably could have been a red card challenge, you know. Could have been a red card challenge, but it wasn't. And he went off injured. And there was a small little doubt, would Harry Kane be available for Bayern Munich against Aston Villa? Well, picture on the right, as you can see, is Harry Kane in the final training session today. He is there warming up, and he's taken part in training. So, look, injury update on Kane. Basically, he's fit, he's available, and he will be playing. But then further comments of that is that Kane on Aston Villa. Now, I've got to admit, Harry Kane has lauded Aston Villa. I've sort of highlighted it in yellow, and I'll read it out to you. He says, Harry Kane said they have a good team. They deserve to play in the Champions League after their great season. I'm always happy to come back to England and play there. It'll be a huge atmosphere. It'll be their first Champions League game in a very long time. It will be special for them. So I think Big Harry Kane knows that what it's like to play at Villa Park. He knows that we have a decent home atmosphere as it is, but he knows that actually the added incentive of Champions League football now is going to bring it to the next level. And that's something that we absolutely know as a fan base is going to happen. But it's the next comments. It's the next comments that sort of intrigue me. And big up to Super Matty. Enjoy work as always. I do rate that a lot from you. But it's Kane's comments next where he says, is there a risk that Bayern Munich will underestimate Villa? Kane says, no, I don't think so. We try to dominate every game and play our style. We'll press high and try to win the ball and hopefully score a few more goals than we did against Leverkusen. So, look, Bayern Munich, Harry Kane, just admitted right there that they're not going to underestimate Aston Villa. They're going to treat us with real serious intensity. But also, he's just said that they are going to press and they're going to come at us. Now, listen, if we can manage the press, if we can surpass the press, if we can get in behind, there's going to be a lot of space and joy for Aston Villa. And you know what? The fact that Kane sort of appreciated and respected us, I love that for my man, Harry Kane. Respect the Aston Villa, but also he's sort of giving us a little bit of hint. Bayern are here to press tomorrow, so we've got to beat their press. Yeah, and Gary, of course, is right. Bruno Fernandes red card did get rescinded, so he will be available for Manchester United this weekend. But that's onwards for the weekend. But there we go. But yeah, big up to everyone in chat. And if you are watching on replay, then make sure you do get in the comments as well. And hopefully you guys are, enjoying this little presentation, the new style of how we're going to be doing these shows. And Villa have to be on everyone's radar right now, says Goals. And I've got to agree, we really do. Again, Max Erbel, director of sport. Now, this is a sporting director of Bayern. He said this. He said, it's a big pleasure to play against a very good opponent. It was the most difficult draw you could have got in pot 4 away in Birmingham. Boom. Bayern Munich are respecting Aston Villa, something that actually a lot of English clubs do not do enough of. A lot of mainstream media outlets and sources like Sky Sports do not do enough of. Bayern Munich know that Aston Villa was the highest draw in pot 4, and I've got to agree with him. We're going to be a much harder task than Dynamo bloody Zagreb, I can tell you that. Okay, so I love that respect. But it's the next part as well about Vincent Kompany. So Vincent Kompany has already said a lot that the stakes are very high because it will be an intense game. The performances of the last few weeks have contributed to us going there with optimism. We're going there to win. Now, I would only expect Bayern Munich to try and come to Villa Park and win. But already there's that sense of we're in for a tough ride. It's going to be an intense atmosphere. And Vincent Kompany is very aware as manager. So I absolutely love, in a way, that Bayern Munich are going about this with the right approach. There's no arrogance. There's no, it's only little Aston Villa, first time in the competition. The occasion will be too big for them. No, they've gone about it right. And I've got to respect a side like that. The manager, Vincent Kompany, good values. He's been there for Man City. He's been as a manager of Burnley. I've got to respect that. He knows what Aston Villa is all about, people. Okay, so my Bayern 11. Well, this is what I predict they'll go with going into tomorrow. I'm going to make this a slightly bigger so you can see. So, of course, if everyone is fit, which they've said and have travelled, I expect to see Manuel Neuer in goal. Guerrero, Upamecano, Kim, and Alphonso Davies, with Kimmich, Pavlic, and then Serge Gnabry, Musiala, Michael Elise, of course, he will want to have a big impact, and Kane. And some of the things I've gone there, what you see there is not how they'll shape up. They tend to go into a back three. Guerrero pushes on. Sometimes Kimmich comes and drops in. Okay. And sometimes you'll see a 3-4-3 or a 3-3-4. And what I mean by that is if it goes into the 3-4-3, Kimmich drops in. Guerrero and Davis push up on the flanks. Musiala drops in alongside Pavlic. There's your bank of 4. Then Gnabry, Kane, and Elise will be your front 3. Or when Bayern goes super attacking, they go into a 3-3-3 in which Davis goes and steps into that midfield, or Guerrero. Musiala goes and plays alongside Kane, and they're pretty dangerous. So what do I say about that? As good as attacking side it is with Musiala, with Elise, with Kane, with Gnabry, who, by the way, they will do damage, and we have to be really on it. The way Alphonso Davies and Guerrero pushes forwards, I expect a lot of space in behind. I expect a lot of space in behind Kim and Upamecano. And that's where Ollie, that's where Morgan, that's where Leon have to go and exploit. So listen, that Bayern 11 does look very good on paper. It's got a good balance to it. But I also know where their weaknesses are, and that is where they overcommit. And so the midfield is massive, I think. And Ty said, games that's going to be won or lost in the midfield. You know it. But yeah, big up Evan in chat. I think I missed up on captain as well, who was in here earlier. Big up to the captain. I saw you come in. But let's go to Don Unai then. And this quote here from me in the press conference from Unai is, if Aston Villa was not playing since 1982 against Bayern Munich, then it's not good news. It's very bad news. We are speaking here very motivated because we're coming back into the Champions League. Aston Villa was last playing against Bayern Munich over 40 years ago. It is very bad. Wow. Our manager knows. You've got to remember, this guy is not a boyhood fan. This guy is not someone who's lived and breathed Aston Villa. He's someone who's come into our club, embraced the cultures, embraced the values, and basically said, it ain't good enough. 40 years absence from the Champions League. Unai thinks it's disgusting. He thinks a team like Aston Villa should be always in the Champions League. And therefore, I love the way that he doesn't sort of gloss it up or say, oh, I'm so excited to return. You know, the manager could be going, this is so exciting for the club. It's 40 years absence. You know, come on, this is so exciting. No, he's gone, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. So I love that. Absolutely love that from the Don. John McGinn has been officially ruled out tomorrow. Says we have to accept it. I want the best players on the field tomorrow. I want to face the best players. I want to play with our best players, but we're ready to compete. Big omission there from Unai, who's basically said that John McGinn is a massive player at Aston Villa. And quite frankly, he's going to miss not having him in the lineup and set up tomorrow. So, look, in that sense, yeah, John McGinn ruled out. Would John McGinn be in my best 11 going forward into this? I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. But do you know what? I think his value on the pitch as captain is something that can't be misunderestimated. And I think that is something that I've sort of reflected on the last 48 hours in that Ipswich game, is that Emi Martinez wears the captain armband, but he's a goalkeeper. I do look at Aston Villa and think, who is the on-field leader? Who is the on-field leader? Is it Yuri Tillemans? That's where I'm at. Like, without John McGinn on the pitch, who strikes you as the on-the-field leader? Because you think of a Leon Bailey character. You think of a Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey. They're not leaders. Ollie Watkins, he's got to focus on his own game. Pau Torres seems quite an introvert. You know, Ezri Konsa, does he strike you as a leader? So the more I think about it, Aston Villa without John McGinn do lack an on-the-pitch leader. Someone who takes and shoulders responsibility. Someone who is happy to be that vocal point of the team. And so just something for everyone to think about is, who do you see as those natural leaders on the pitch? And with John McGinn's absence confirmed, that does worry me slightly that we don't have a natural leader still on that pitch. And I wonder who will step up. And I'll say it again, Yuri Tillemans was captains of Anderlecht at 18 years old. There is no reason why Yuri Tillemans cannot step up into a leadership role. And I want to see maybe a bit more from Yuri doing that as well. And James said, if McGinn is out, then Bartley needs to start. It's a really interesting one, that one. Look, Villa Park, we know Villa Park's going to cause an absolute raucous tomorrow. We know Villa Park is going to be our cauldron, our fortress, and we most certainly need to see that. And I'm sure there's going to be a great firework display. I'm sure there's going to be all the lights that go off. And as Unai says, we're motivated and excited to play tomorrow in front of our supporters at Villa Park. And I think Bailey showed leadership skills last season. There was that clip, Michael, of Leon Bailey trying to rally the troops, wasn't he, when we were at Lille. So I get that. But I think it's a very different concept being that on-the-pitch leader in that times. Jacob says, I feel like Konsa should wear the captain's armband, but it'll be Martinez. Absolutely will be Emi Martinez. I want to see a bit more from Ezra, I think, as a leader. Injuries then, final one. Matty Cash is starting to train with us, but for tomorrow, he's not going to be available. I think Matty Cash could potentially, it'd be interesting. Will they rush Matty Cash back for the Man United game on Sunday? We'll have to wait and see. Kamara and Tyrone Mings are training, but also not going to play tomorrow. We knew that about Kamara and Mings. I'm expecting to see Kamara and Mings after the international break. Big up my man Curved. He says, Watkins, he's old enough. Look, Ollie for me would be a great sort of talisman in that sense, but I think Ollie has to be so focused on his own game that holding the responsibility of captain's armband, I think, would be too much for him. Honestly, I do. Weirdly, I feel like that. But yeah, It's interesting. Kashi should be there against United. Would be good. Yes, Vamos VJ. Absolutely. Like, share, and subscribe. And do let me know if you got the notification on this. As always, I'm always intrigued to know. So thank you. Right, my Villa 11 then. I've gone different. And I want to know what your Villa 11 is. And we've got to talk real here. I've made some changes. I have made some changes. I have got to get to the point, as it says in the title. Would I drop Diego Carlos? Would I drop Diego Carlos? Absolutely, I'm dropping Diego Carlos. I think absolutely, if Bayern Munich are going to try and press us, we have to be having two competent centre-halves on the ball who are going to be switched on, who are going to be able to play quickly and through the press. And Diego Carlos is too nonchalant for me. He's too slow. He's not where I need him to be right now in this current season. And I still think maybe him and the rumours going to Fulham, maybe could have got in his head in pre-season. But that being said, we know that Serge Gnabry and Michael Olise are danger men. Well, I've gone very, very different. And maybe, Gary, we could be having three centre-halves. Maybe. I haven't even thought of that one, Gary. But I've gone with this one. I've gone Emi in goal, who will be captain. I've got Costa, Najokovic. He is going to get the start. Now, Krim said that Costa played for Red Star Belgrade in the Champions League. He certainly did. He also played against Super Jackie Grealish. So, Costa Najokovic is getting a start. We're going to throw him into the Lions' Den. We're going to throw him into the cauldron. And I think he's the type of player who thrives off that situation. I've gone Konsa. I've gone Pau. And this time I've dropped Luca Dean. And I've gone with Ian Maatsen. The reason why I'm going with Ian Maatsen is Borussia Dortmund, Champions League finalist, played all of last season for Dortmund in the Champions League. We have to use his experience. And I think he's chomping at the bit to play for Villa in the UCL. So I think I'm going with him as my left back. The next one then was a difficult one. But I am going to stick with the same lineup. I want to get Ross Barkley in the team. Now, maybe what Krim has said, that he would drop Ramsey for Barkley and put Rodgers on the left. Morgan Rodgers, as I said, is very key for this Aston Villa side. He's the heartbeat of this side. The space that Bayern are going to leave him behind because of how high they're going to press, we need pace. And I think Morgan is that player who needs to be central. The only thing I'd say about Yuri Tillemans playing higher is that he's not as quick, he's not as mobile. If John McGinn was playing higher up the pitch and fit and available, I'd be all over it. But I think that we have to go all-out pace. I think we have to be really strong and try and push that ball in behind as quick as we can, which Watkins to do. Now, there could be an absolute rogueness. We could see John Duran and Watkins play tomorrow. We could see Unai go very defensive tomorrow and play three centre-backs. We could see a change. Do I think it will be the same lineup that started against Ipswich? No, I do not. I think there will be changes, but I'm unsure. So, will I be surprised if John Duran starts tomorrow if Ollie Watkins? No. Will I be surprised if Ross Barkley starts tomorrow? No. I just don't know how he's going to go, but I feel like there is going to be one or two changes in personnel. And I certainly hope that Konsa plays at centre-back. That's what I need to see. I need that spine of anything. Torres and Konsa, Tillemans and Onana, Rodgers and Watkins. I think Rodgers has to be central for me. Onana, I need him to find his legs. I need him to find his mobility. I need him to find his concentration. And I need him to have a stormer. Off the ball is massive. On the ball, we need to be better. So, that's what I'm thinking. A lot of you agree in my lineup, and I love it. And I think it's a massive night in our history tomorrow. Remember, the last time we played in the European Cup, the top tier of Europe, was 41 years ago, where we beat Bayern Munich 1-0 at Rotterdam. Anything could happen tomorrow. And finally, before I made that presentation, Unai Emery talked about, he talked about with an interview with Jacob Tanswell, defensively, the structure defensively. And Unai is saying it is not the defense's problem, it is the whole team's problem. He is saying the striker is the first line of defense and the defense is the first line of attack. He is not putting any blame on the defense. He is not deflecting any of the blame. He's putting it on the whole team, which I respect as a manager. And it takes the likes of Diego Carlos out of the firing line as such. Unai has said that about the defensive structures and systems. And that's got me thinking, I wonder if he tweaks us out of possession slightly tomorrow, hence why the back three. What I really don't want to see, if I'm honest, is the same lineup that we saw against Ipswich. I just think that starting lineup it's got to change. It's got to tweak. James says, have to play the most informed players. Don't want to see Duran and Watkins in a game like this, though. We need strength in midfield. And that is true. We don't want our midfield overrun. But that being said, the Bayern Munich midfield is not the same midfield it used to be. It is not the strength of Leon Goretzka in there anymore. It's Pavlic. It's Joshua Kimmich trying to invert. And there's a lot of weight and responsibility on Musiala. And I tell you what, if we can shut down Jamal Musiala, if we can lock Jamal Musiala out, we have a very good chance of winning tomorrow. He is the creator. And NLA Slopper said, why don't Bogard too? I don't want to see Bogard anywhere near right back tomorrow. Bogard has to be dropped. He's already been dropped. Bogard's already been dropped. He got hook, line, and sinked at half-time against Young Boys, and Unai's never looked back in a Premier League game. He's not played. So Bogard's out the firing line in that sense. One other nice little statistic to try and fill us with a little bit of hope. Unai Emery's record against Bayern Munich. Are you ready? Unai Emery against Bayern Munich has won 2, drawn 1, and lost 1. He's beaten Bayern Munich 3-0 with PSG back in 17-18. He then lost the away tie 3-1. But interestingly, with his Villarreal side in 2022, and we're talking Villarreal, by the way, not a big gun like PSG, Unai Emery beat Bayern Munich and drew with Bayern Munich. Now, I always like to know who Unai's numbers he's got. We've got Arteta's number over the last few years. But quite recently, Unai versus Bayern Munich, the numbers are in his favour. And I always like those little things. I do agree on that. VJ does need to go out on loan. But we absolutely love it. I think it's going to be a spectacle. I'm not going to give you my scoreline prediction as of yet because I'm going to wait and see what the lineups are for tomorrow. Got to wait for the lineups tomorrow to be really sure. But we are going to wrap this stream up in a second. Now, if you do want to come and watch some UCL football tonight, then there's only one place to be. It is joining my Big Up channel, where we are going to be doing the watch long. We're going to get the live interactive tactics board in there. And I would love it if you could come over and join us. We're going to be playing around with that. We had good fun with it with Bournemouth Southampton last night. We're going to be live in about 10, 15 minutes on that. But tomorrow is the big watch along. We will be live tomorrow for the Villa game on YouTube for Aston Villa versus Bayern Munich. Are you excited? Then I am. Because definitely this Villa side right here, I think with Costa, with Maatsen, with Konsa, and with Torres is the back four that can help us get a positive result against Bayern. But as I said, I'm not going to give any predictions until I see both starting lineups. More so Villa's, and we'll go from there. 41 years ago, people. 41 years ago was the last time we played Bayern Munich and the last time we were in the European Cup. That's mad. That is mad. So I'm excited. I've got a big smile on my face just thinking about it. But Ty is saying the same team as my but start Barkley over Rodgers. I feel Rodgers making a massive impact. Let's see if Rodgers is fully fit. Hopefully he is. But I think if Rodgers is fully fit, he has to start. He's the main man for me. But yeah, make sure you smash the like on the stream. Make sure as well that you leave a comment maybe after this one on your starting lineup in the comments. If you could, once this stream's ended, go in the comment section, give me your starting lineup. And finally, as I said, if we could get a few newbies to come over and the usuals to come over and watch me on Big Up, there is the link. You cannot go wrong. Arsenal, PSG. Let's get the European UCL vibes going right away because our time is to shine tomorrow. I actually think Arsenal will batter PSG tonight. So I'll be interested to see how Lego Head gets on. Chat, it's been a pleasure as always. It is Big Up time, Les and Jamie. You know it. Big up to Les and Jamie. Big up to Vamos VJ, to Jason, to my dad, to Ty, to NLA, to James Meakin, to Vamos VJ, to Gary, to Krim, to everyone else who's been out here, Jacobs, the whole lot of you, the gang, and of course as well, Hides, for being there. I support you. You support me. We're back tomorrow on YouTube for the watch along. If not, I'll see you all on Big Up in 10 minutes time. The link's there in the chat. Use it or lose it. I'm out of here. Ta